Therefore the Lord God sent him forth from the Garden of Eden. He drove out the man, and he placed at the east of the Garden of Eden cherubim, and a flaming sword which turned every way to keep the way of the tree of life. The Conclave Bible, data links.
An awesome intro sequence. Was mentioning the true crime documentaries. She was just a girl in an intro video until she wasn't.
Earth 2060. A small group of colonists leaves the ravages of Earth for a distant planet orbiting Alpha Centauri's primary star.
That's nice.
The ship, the United Nations starship Unity, carries them on their journey to a new world and a new hope for humankind. Along the way, a reactor malfunction damages the Unity, precipitating a crisis among the ship's 7 most powerful leaders. As they enter the Alpha Centauri system, the crew splits into 7 distinct factions, divided not by nationality, but by ideology and their vision for the new world. After the ship breaks apart, the 7 leaders guide their chosen crew down to the surface of planet, seeking their destiny beneath an alien sky.
And there we have it, the intro sequence to 1999's Sid Meier's Alpha Centauri, seen by many as the inheritor to the Civilization series, which had come before. It is probably one of the most definitive 4X turn-based games going, and it absolutely blew me away when it first came out and I first picked it up. So in the spirit of retro gaming, which is all my tired old PC can manage, I thought we would Meier's Alpha Centauri for a spin. As always, I tend to play pretty conservatively. We crank the difficulty down because I ain't the world's greatest player, as people who've seen this broadcast before will tell you. But along the way, I hope to kind of demonstrate to you why I find this game absolutely mesmerising after 20 years. Hopefully, I encourage you to jump on as well. I'm playing unmodified. I'm only playing the base game. I do have the spin-off, Crossfire, but I wanted to basically give you the impression that I had when I first played it of just a base game, really only altered so that it'll run under Windows 10. I'm also going to pop this on YouTube as well. So if you're watching this on YouTube, thanks very much for tuning in. I do stream. I'm trying to get into a schedule. Probably stream Monday evenings, GMT 7 p.m. on. So it'd be great to see you online live. I always take time out to ask hello to people who drop into chat. So, hello. And let's get started. I'm going to play a pretty routine game, I think. As always, I like to demonstrate how a game plays, messing with it too much. Jump into customize our game first. So we're going to play, I think, the map of planet. I often play the huge map of planet, which gives you the experience of a really in-depth game, but can get a bit crazy, especially with some of the heavy base building factions that dominate a map and completely starve it of resources. So for a conventional run-through, let's play just the map of planet. Weirdly enough, planet in the game is never named anything other than planet. It also doesn't have the definition article, so people always talk about planet's atmosphere, planet government, planet seas. unusual. I do understand from some of my reading around it that there were some novelizations in which they call it Chiron. I believe ties into some of the mythology which I have not researched properly. Put my hand up there and admit that I don't know the mythology of it. But we'll follow the game's instructions and we will just call it the map of planet. The difficulties crank from just your average citizen all the way up to Transcend, which I believe was Emperor or something in the Civilization series. I've never played anything beyond Talent, to be honest, because the game hands me my ass. There's no tomorrow. I think what we will do is we will go Specialist, with a little bit of spice in the mix. It usually customise the rules. The current rules, that must take them off from the last time I played a game. What we'll do is we'll quickly jump into the customised rules to show you what options there are. There are the usual, conventional end scenarios. Transcendence, which is the kind of storyline end. There is a storyline that runs through this, unusually enough. Kind of pre-millennium strategy game, especially in the Civ series, where it was just like military, economic, or scientific victory. Sort of the scientific victory, but it is, and you can research your way up to it, but there are also a few choices along the way that play into the plot, but we'll get to them as we go along. I may crank down the sound as well. Diplomatic victory, basically everyone vote you as emperor. Economic victory, corner the economic market. Or cooperative victory, yeah. Have allies, what are called pact brothers or sisters. So your outcomes are there. You can restart AI players once you've defeated them. I tend not to, because it tends to throw the game all out of whack if somebody pops up somewhere else on the map, and it's just bizarre because they tend to pop up somewhere they can't actually expand and just get stomped again. So I tend to switch them off. Look, first flexible starting location. Optional. It basically just encourages maybe a little bit of a later start whilst you kind of drive your little rover around looking for the initial jump off point. Yeah, let's leave that in. It could be interesting. Tech stagnation. Going to avoid this. It helps add to a longer gameplay by slowing down research, regardless of how many research facilities you've got running. But I'm not looking for a long gameplay, I'm just looking for a thorough gameplay, so we'll leave that off. Balls of War is always an interesting one. Steal tech when you conquer a base. Let's throw that in for a little bit of variety. People who've watched my streams before will know that I tend to play tech heavy. If somebody conquers my base, they'll get my benefits. If I conquer their bases, I tend not to get a benefit because I've usually already got the tech. But let's throw it in for a bit of spice anyway. Blind research I don't like. It allows you to focus in on the four main dominant categories of research, but doesn't allow you to basically game towards an objective, which I don't like doing. I do enjoy a bit of specifying my tech tree, so we'll leave that out. Against rivalry, I think not. I want to have the hive of the Spartans stomp me down the moment I get out of the starting gate. Yeah, I like that. No Unity Civi, world map not visible, so we don't know the outline of the continents. All concealed by the fog of war, so we'll leave that in. Fly pods, I like having scattered everywhere. They really kind of mix things up, finding them all over the map, so we'll leave that out. No random events, boring. Time warp basically kicks you off with like 3 colonies when you come to power, 3 bases. No, I want to show you the game from the start. Iron Man, save restore restricted to exit. Because I'm probably not going to save and reload whilst I'm playing, it probably could be played. But we'll leave it off for now. I don't want to mess with things. I'm not going to randomise personalities and social agendas because I want you to meet and see each faction played as they were written. Although that is great for mixing up later games once you've really got a handle for how this game plays. When you suddenly have like really aggressive peacekeepers or really shrewd military Spartans. Be interesting. Now we'll leave as is. Just a couple of variations, just interesting for us. Finally, faction selection screen. On the left of this list, you've got each faction's title. On the right, you've got their headline social agenda, which is really interesting. So we've got the Greens, dictator, the scientist, the economic dictator, the military dictator, the religious dictator, or the Democrats. As always, I tend to play science heavy. I love having a technological advantage over my competitors. So this time through, we're going to play University of Planet and Academician Prokhor Zakharov, who is great kind of ethnically Russian sort of, yes. You know, they do say most of the nation states have failed by the time we leave Earth, but yeah, he's Russian, he's scientific, he's let's jump in with the University of Planet.
The substructure of the universe
Regresses infinitely
toward smaller and smaller components.
by the thought.
Behind atoms we find electrons, and behind electrons quarks.
Each
layer unraveled reveals new secrets, but also new mysteries.
And that is going to set. Sorry.
For I have tasted the fruit.
That's going to set the tone. One of the great strengths of this award-winning game is but the hard science, relatively speaking, of the tech tree, and the fantastic excerpts, the quotes, the voiced quotes every time we research technology or run a secret project. That, for me, is one of the things that really makes this game absolutely stand out. When it came out, it was just unrivaled in terms of the depth of its lore, its world building, all of that. There's a great blog out there. I will have to link it in a later run through. It's just now where it explores every technological discovery and talks about it in a kind of sociological, scientific way. And even some of the game's writers have dropped in to leave comments under the articles. It's a fantastic blog. I'll look it up next time. We will play with the preset faction everything, I think. Yeah, we'll play as Zakharov. We won't change any of the faction titles, base names, any of that. Well, you can if you want, but it's generally pretty unremarkable flavour text, really, to change it. So I prefer to play it straight. Zakharov, a new era of struggle and opportunity awaits you. UN Starship Unity has arrived in the Alpha Centauri system for a 40-year voyage. All contact with Earth has been lost. After Captain Garland's assassination by an unknown assailant, the crew mutinied and split into factions. In the ensuing conflict, some seized control of the Unity's colony pods. You now shape the destiny of your university faction, just made planet fall. Slight rejoinder, they never discussed Captain Garland's assassination. I think it was to basically take out one unified leader. They kind of tease it there to say captain of this voyage was assassinated, and it's never mentioned again. I don't know if it's mentioned in the novelizations. That would be interesting to find out. Here we go. Your name for your first base, University Base. As I said, we're not going to change any of the titles. We're going to just name it as is. I jump in straight away, being able to trace my research, and some of these right out the get-go are really beneficial. Centauri ecology allows you to build worker units, what they call formers, that allow you to terraform and construct terrain enhancements. But biogenetics is very helpful. It allows us to immediately make a beeline for one of the first landmark techs, which is Secrets of the Human Brain. It gives us a immediate research advantage after researching it. Also gives us the recycling tanks, which are really helpful if really grim base enhancement. And finally, it also puts us on the course for the Human Genome Project, which is one of our early secret projects. Interestingly enough, the Human Genome Project is a real-world scientific application, so you now know that this is grounded very much in hard science. But biogenetics is a really good early research, so we'll pick biogenetics. Here's the interface. There is a tutorial mode built into the campaign itself, where you can click the tour button and it will highlight all of the uses of the interface. We don't need to bother. I'll take you through it. I love this little kind of sci-fi style dashboard with play screens. Unit information in this window, terrain information. This gives you a kind of base and unit summary. So if there's multiple units stacked on one square, yeah, you can do that in this game. Give you a little layout of each. Up here we've got basically two cycling overall screens. Give you summaries of what's going on. My current economy, my current psych, which control. We'll get into that as the game plays on. Research investment. Can't set these at the moment. We're currently running off kind of frontier economics and social management, so we can't currently set these as anything else. And over here we have our world map. Baffles me. A world map showing me where we are. A quick summary. Ability to skip turns, because we're playing a turn-based game. We have the main menu, various actions going on over here, which we'll get into, and the comlink allow us to contact other factions. Summon the council. We don't have a planetary council because we don't have contact with all the other factions. So that's the interface as it goes, and here's the main game window where we can control people's actions. Here's my first base, and I know exactly where we've landed. We've landed in the bottom left corner, which I think happens 75% of the time. It throws you in this corner. I know for a fact there was a faction north of me up here, and a faction over here. Probably sometimes also one to the west. I'm quite boxed in here with an inland sea right here next to me. It's going to make for an interesting start of the game. We'll take it as it goes. My scout unit is flashing. He's ready to go out and have an explore. And my university base here. That's the base title, city, and what it's currently building, a colony pod. Jump into it. The highlight. We get another very complicated screen, but it's basically just information. We're going to grow in 10 turns if the current nutrient supply is maintained. Control various factions of the workers we have out there. We currently have one worker who's out there farming and bringing me some minerals. Those are our three main resources: nutrient, energy being also the in-game currency, and a breakdown of where it's all going. Currently, my one energy being generated just by the base is going into my energy supply. My research is also generating me one energy, which is going into my currency. Currently nothing assigned to psych, which is social management. That's rename the base. Facilities that are here. Because I am the university faction, I get the network node. Allows me a research boost. Data links are basically Civilopedia. Jump to the data links. That shows me that a network node increases labs. Also allows us to study alien artifacts, which we'll find out. My citizens are here, where I can drop them on the squares of the map. Work various squares, generate resources. Little garrison down here. All the units there. Here. And we have a build screen with a queue as well. We can change the build order if we want. There's the recycling tanks that we picked up through having biogenetics from the get-go. Stockpile energy turns production into energy. Research. A secret project. Genome project. 92 turns. We're not going to be picking that up right now. And to let it build a colony pod, because the important thing is to grab territory. Borders are projected quite far from bases in Alpha Centauri, and it prevents other factions from building bases in your territory. The early stage of the game, land grab. Let's keep the colony pod under construction for now. It's a gamble because I also want to send my scout, my only armed garrison unit, out to have a look around. It does mean leaving my base unshielded, but we're playing at a lower difficulty, so we shouldn't run into too much trouble this early on in the game. Let's head north and see who's north of me.
Turn complete.
When there are no other actions to be taken in the game, the computer will ultimately allow you to progress the turn. Then to just left-click on the map where I want units to go. Yep. The blue crystals represent mineral resources, which are very helpful for construction early on in the game. So that's there. White dotted line here, a current border. I suspect there's another enemy base quite near. Why I want to get a handle on them as soon as possible. Nutrient resources. Okay, we are ready to do some more research. I told you we're already beelining for Secrets of the Human Brain, which is a big landmark tech, will allow us a free advance. So we're next going to go for social psych. allows us to build a morale structure. It gives us a lead on 3 new research topics. These are in social psych to begin with. Fantastic. You could not wish for a better neighbour as Sister Miriam of the fundamentalist faction, the Believers. Every faction has a diametric opposite. Believe you me, the Believers are my diametric opposite. It's going to be fun to begin with. And let's punch them up. They are weirdly seeming quite cooperative. Brilliant, Provost Zakharov. He tells the exploits, says to myself, I remain Sister Miriam of the Believers. My intention is to embrace the truth of the good Lord's scripture. Now, I'm not saying, the writers of this game had any axes to grind, but yeah. These guys are militant fundamentalists, have a major disadvantage to research. I believe get quite cheap units that they can mass out. They have an interesting backstory. The bioscan's an interesting little bit of fluff, basically. This is their kind of mood scan. Right now, because we've only just met, the Believers are pretty amicable towards me. That will change very quickly. A little clip art flicking through here, and a little quick faction summary. We have no diplomatic status because we have only just met. If we're at war, it shows that we have a vendetta. That's this game's version for war. Or if we were in an alliance, likely. Infiltration is when we form the Planetary Council, we get certain advantages. Come to that. And the Might is a quick headline on their military power. Well, it's pathetic. Me suggests perhaps their only scout unit has been destroyed. And that compares to myself. They have no infiltration on me. Current currency, and my might is unsurpassed, which is impressive considering I have 1 scout and nothing else. Picture of their home base, their home city, which is New Jerusalem. You will jump to the data links and get a quick profile of Sister Miriam Godwinson, Christian States of America. She was the psych chaplain, if you will, the priest of the starship. She starts with social psych, and she follows an agenda of religious work. They have a constant bonus to attacking anyone because they always believe they're in the right. They are resistant to probing, which is this game's spying and espionage concept. +2 to support. They have less drains on their base resources, units, structures. -2 to research. -1 to planet, which I believe is their kind of environmental impact. Because they believe they've come to the promised land, they are less agreeable to the weird stuff that's going to happen on this planet. And they are forbidden from using knowledge, which is the pure scientific agenda within the social engineering, which we'll come to. And they have a little bit of fluff down here. Righteous need not cower before the drumbeat of human progress. The song of yesterday fades into the challenge of tomorrow. God still watches and judges. Evil lurks in the data links and on the internet, as it lurked in the streets of yesteryear, but it was never the streets were evil. So what they're saying there, especially the internet is evil. And I can see that. Straight up abolishing it and replacing it with hardened fundamentalist doctrine. Sister Miriam Godwinson, the blessed struggle. Information on information networks could prove useful to my life of worship. Can you transmit it to me as a personal favour? That information is confidential. She's been praying for me lately. Side by side, brushes and shivers. So, I swear there's no booze in there. We must sign a treaty of friendship, basically non-aggression, and worship together in peace. I think I might also get some trade, limited trade, but you don't have control over trade in this. Yeah. I don't want to get into a fight this early on in the game, so... straight up lies to begin with. Planet's large enough for both your research and my life of worship. It ain't. Welcome to the Or for trade and commerce, there we go. So we get a little bit of a boost from being at peace with the believers. So, especially this early in the game, it's almost negligible. May the friendship between the university and the believers last forever. Hot tip, it won't. Yeah, we're not big for the trade. Have you any further business? Hell no. Okay. So, now that we've signed this peace treaty, she's not going to be happy if I stay in her territory, so back home. It's south.
Production complete.
Okay. So we've built a base. Colony pod, which will help us find a new base. Far too early, we haven't explored nearly enough of the map to go yet. So we'll park the colony pod for the moment. I'm also going to turn on the governor. Basically an AI to help run the base, who will prioritize certain constructions. We attempted to instead build a scout patrol and queue up recycling tanks. I was a bit nervous leaving a base unguarded. This game's alternatives to barbarians, aliens. You do need to guard against, especially with pink stuff, which is called the Xenofungus. Fantastic name for a band. Nobody's called their band Xenofungus. Yeah, they're missing out. The Xenofungus can spawn these kind of barbarian aliens. It also slows down our units. We can't currently use it for resources. If you see, I can't currently put a worker on that. Get them parked on this fertile dark green terrain where we're generating nutrients which will help the base grow. So I'm getting at least one mineral, which is allowing me to build early structures and units. We'll leave as is. Currently, we'll hold my colony pod there.
If you can discover a better way of life than office holding for your future rulers, a well-governed city becomes a possibility. For only in such a state will those rule who are truly rich, not in gold, but in the wealth that makes happiness, a good and wise life. Plato, The Republic, data links.
Bit of Plato for you there. That's the quote, which is nice. The kind of flavouring, kind of hints at what this tech is. If you want to know the realities of it, you can jump to the second tab. It's always a little bit detached and kind of scary. Social psych basically is using mathematics to understand human psychology. And that turns into being able to build very effective morale structures and leads to much more scientific understanding of psychology. Again, we're taking just another step beyond current tech, or current as it was immediately pre-millennium. And the sci-fi fans amongst you may enjoy Foundation. It's very similar to Psychohistory. God, I can never remember who wrote Foundation. Was it Asimov or Clarke? I think it was Asimov. I may be wrong. Anyway, Psychohistory, the mathematical understanding of group psychology. Yeah, very similar to this. Social psych is great as well because it allows us to immediately reach for secrets of the human brain, understanding the mechanisms of self-awareness. The first great scientific breakthrough in understanding human psychology. Gives us access to Fundamentalist as a faction choice. I don't think we're allowed to use it anyway, but I wouldn't if I could. It gives us Hypnotic Trance, which is a unit enhancement, and a couple of extra science checks. But crucially, it gives us points for researching it first. I think the Peacekeepers are also on the same track, another faction. It gives us an immediate faction advance, scientific advance, and point. Great totem of achievements in the game. So for human brain, this is the big totem of achievements. I've researched social psych. Our first research breakthrough, mankind's first research breakthrough, was by the Morganites. The bloody Elon Musk in space. Are you kidding me? God damn it. I can't believe it. They beat me by one turn. Unbelievable. Oh well. This is our little totem. It will get bigger. And jump to each achievement and we'll stack them.
Turn complete.
Worries.
Turn complete.
Worries.
Complete.
Fantastic. Patrol unit. I'm going to hold at home base. There's a research pod I can't... a supply pod from the starship I can't reach because it's in the water. The Morgans are right next to me, okay. So, yeah, basically Elon Musk in space. For me to reintroduce myself, I style myself Morgan, CEO of the Morganites. One nation under copyright. Thank you, TV tropes. And on this world, I plan to reap the rightful rewards of skillful investment and planning. He can actually become quite a powerful enemy. Great. Have you heard from Miriam recently? Dude, she's about as far from me as you are. And she's as near to you as I am. Third, but he wants $10 for her phone number. I'm straight up gonna grab. Dang. Okay. So he's told me that he's researched next-gen armor, creating next-gen defensive units. This is usually the prelude to a threat. See how that goes. He wants information networks. He's trying to appeal to my kind of adherence to the mission, the charter that brought us here, which obviously everybody's discarded since we kind of rioted, stole a colony pod, and fled the ship. I can laugh at him, submit, I can try and extort it, ask for a bit of technology. Tell you what, let's see if he'll give me some technology in exchange. This is the technology that made his units invulnerable in his claim. He's straight up going to give it to me. Straight up.
Resources exist to be consumed, and consumed they will be.
This is his kickoff tech.
Then by some future. By what right does this forgotten future seek to deny us our birthright? None, I say. Let us take what is ours, chew and eat our fill. CEO Nwabude K. Morgan, The Ethics of Greed.
There you go. I mean, that's his founding tech. He starts the game with it, I believe. And I can't think of a more appropriate summary of how Morgan plays the game. He wrote a book called The Ethics of Greed, and he's straight up saying, we use the resources that are on this planet right now. We are going to provide for the future. We grab what is out there and we use it right now to make ourselves content. I mean, that is absolutely this guy's straight up strategy. He is merciless. Mercenary. And sometimes he's fun to play if you really want to run an economic domination game. But he's given us Industrial Base, which gives us synth armor, which is helpful. It's the next grade up from basically the paper thin armor we're wearing now. Allows us to build the Merchant Exchange, which is a secret project. Gives us a massive economy boost and leads on to some pretty sweet next-gen technologies. Very much. So the Ops Director is going to say, right, we've got some technology that will enhance our units. Do you want to see them? I tend to skip, but we'll show it to you now. It's great to show you the Unit Workshop, where you can customize your units. One of the best things in Alpha Centauri. Allows you to change the unit type. We've got different armor types, boats, flying units, and missiles. We can give them different weapons. Look at all these weapon options we have to research. And the armor. We've got synth armor now, and they go all the way up to some crazy ass experiments. You can change the reactors to give more power, more move, weapon strength, all that. Get some special abilities later on in the game. And it's great. Handy little... I love this little sub-function where we can customize units. Build some crazy stuff. Great. The computer's already said, here's what we would ultimately generate. It's your generic land unit that you start with. We'll slap some extra arm on him and call him a garrison. He's good for defending bases. Great. Sounds good to me. And with that exchange, the guy's pretty amicable to me. I've given him something. He's given me something. So, shall we go to peace? I'll go to peace. That's large enough for both your research and my business plans. Hot tip, it ain't. Also, the door for trade and commerce. May the friendship between the university and the Morganites last forever. Hot tip, it won't. Have we any further business? No.
There are only two ways in which
Boom.
we can account for a necessary agreement of experience with the concepts of its objects. Either experience makes these concepts possible, or these concepts make experience possible. Immanuel Kant, Critique of Pure Reason, Data Links.
So yeah, this ain't Doom, right? This game will absolutely throw heavy philosophy at you from the get-go. So there you go. Yeah, I mean, this is it. What is the biological mechanism of self-awareness? I mean, this ain't the game to play over a few beers. You can if you want, but if you pause to just dig deeper into the science, the projects, there's a goddamn world of philosophy inside Alpha Centauri. It's amazing. Understanding of the fundamentals of consciousness, we get hypnotic transfer our units, research neurografting and Centauri empathy, plays into the main plotline, and get the fundamentalist faction choice. Which is complete anathema to me as the university. Will not be doing that. We also get a free tech. University researchers discover secrets of the human brain. Boom. That's me. Other factions can research it, but they won't get the additional tech advance. Your researchers have discovered the secrets of the human brain. The excitement of this discovery stimulates a burst of new research. I know exactly what I'm going to go for. It's not there. God damn it. I wanted the worker faction advance. So that's not there. And to go. Either ethical calculus or networks. Ability. I mean, already these are basically the texts I need to secure my initial trip out of early game. Ethical.
Some vices miss what is right because they
I like that it gives me the democratic,
Others
which
because
is
they are
a
excessive in feelings or in
hasty early
actions,
faction advance.
while virtue finds and chooses the mean. Aristotle, Nicomachean Ethics, Data Links.
So yeah, another light-hearted romp through comparative moralities. So yeah, again, now can we plug mathematics into ethics? Apparently, yes. There it is. Centauri ecology allows me to build former units, which are critical to a colony survival. So we will queue that up next. Okay, so we are now boxed in northwest and southwest. All we have is a narrow isthmus of land to the west. This is actually quite annoying. I'm going to try and get colony set up over.
Turn complete. Turn complete.
Going to be outrageous, but can I get into this border?
Turn complete.
Oh, god damn it, he beat me by one turn. I can't believe it. That is an outrage. That's what happens this early on in the game. His borders have already pushed back. Yeah. So now my home base is going to be on the front line in a faction war between two other factions. That's how hard this game rolls. Yeah, here we go. He's noticed I'm inside his borders that he's only just pushed back. Oh.
Turn complete. Faction eradicated.
Oh, shit.
Turn complete.
Wow, okay. So stuff happens quick. We could possibly get up there. We can instead snag prime territory if we can occupy the Believer's former territory.
It is every citizen's final duty to go into the tanks and to become one with all the people. Chairman Shen Jiyang. Ethics for Tomorrow.
Ethics for Tomorrow. The ethics for tomorrow there are essentially recycle the dead into Soylent Green. It's made from people. They don't get quite into it. The implication is it goes to lots of other things, break down the human body efficiently into lots of different things that can fuel a fully automated colony, heat, light, energy, all that, oxygen, everything. But essentially, yeah, recycling tanks are just that. They recycle people. Nice one. We get an achievement because we were the first one to build a base enhancement. Thank you very much. And my governor would like to build a more powerful guard unit. That sounds great, but actually, wondering. No, he might be right, actually. Yeah, do that. And I can send that.
Complete.
Oh, god damn. It's alien. Stuff's happening real quick. Actually, what I might do is some of these. This game is rolling a lot faster than I was expecting before things were going to kick off. Okay, so yeah, my plan is to build another garrison unit and take that scout patrol out east. See what's out there. In the meantime, really run into a barbarian. Mind worms. Game should tell us more detail what they are, but they are Alpha Centauri's equivalent of these barbarians from Civilization, roaming on the hostile units. What I'm going to do is take advantage. I'm going to put my scout patrol into guard mode, so it has a slight defense buff. Even though he's grayed out, I can't give him any more orders. What I can do is I can put him into guard mode, even when I can't take any other orders. That'll give me a slight defense buff, which I'm going to need. Some units, usually alien creatures, such as mine ones, can engage in psi combat. Psi combat weapon and armor strengths are ignored, and the attacker is given a 3-2 advantage on land, 1-1 in sea. Morale becomes quite important in psi combat. This is a great game function which allows the barbarians, the mindworms, to scale with the human factions because they ignore weapons and armor. The only thing that comes into play is one unit's morale. There's another unit's morale. Morale can only be affected by a few, by training, and by a few extra special functions that you can give a unit. So it's not like in Civilization where you could face off against spear-wielding barbarians with, semi-automatic weapons. In this, it doesn't matter the kind of weapons you have. You will only have the advantage of how hard you've trained your units and if you give them any special morale functions specifically geared towards psi combat. It's a great way to keep the kind of this faction constantly dangerous to you. Even if you beat every other human faction in terms of technology, weapons, and armor, you will always be at risk from the aliens because they scale with you in terms of their morale and their psi combat skills. See how this plays out. And we also get to see how combat is demonstrated in story. I think it'll be over very quickly. Yeah. I love that messy splatter when they explode. So we won. Creature Chief has just told me that. As a result, my unit has become experienced and on up a level to from green. Great.
Turn complete.
What's going to do is turn off last battle resolution. It is. Oh, was that the normal speed? God, that was. Okay, no worries. So yeah, my unit's become damaged. As you can see, it's like a lot of other 90s era games. He has a health bar. Green is healthy, yellow is damaged, and red very badly. You can recover up to just the start of green, about 60-70% in the field, by skipping a turn. Build, but you can't fully repair. Yeah, field repairs. And yeah, it only takes you up to 20% damaged. So for the moment, I'm more interested in securing some territory, so we will follow the colony pod.
Planet's atmosphere, though a gasping death to humans and most animals, is paradise for earth plants. The high nitrate content of the soil and the rich yellow sunlight bring an abundant harvest wherever adjustments can be made for the unusual soil conditions. Lady Deidre Sky, A Comparative Biology of Planet.
So again, the writers of the game have really shown they're working here. They've carefully worked out that this is an alien planet, so composition of the soil is different. Apparently, it's very nitrogen heavy, and the atmosphere is obviously non-oxygen based. But because Alpha Centauri is a yellow star, which I believe it is in the real world, it's still got a similar kind of effect in terms of photosynthesis. So the guys have really shown their science, and here it is. You know, we are prepared to adjust our entire kind of farming system to this alien planet, but we can see how it would work in the real world. Terrifying. We get a terraforming unit as a unit addition. It gives us formal units. Engineers, builders. It gives us the weather paradigm, which is a secret project and is a great one to grab early, and leads us on to a few new technologies. Also now get nutrients from fungus squares, although not compared to other non-fungus infested. Finding adequate sources of nutrients, energy, and minerals is the most immediate problem facing colonists after planetfall. No kidding. That is a great technology to have. We don't need to look at this. Formers are also generated by the unit designer, and they work just fine. So we will leave them as is. Alright. So we can now go mobility, which is a general unit upgrade, science, kind of economy, dedicated military. We've had a few of these, so I'm tempted to go for a upgrade.
Turn complete.
I feel like having mobile units, feeders, basically mechanized motorized forces, very advantageous early doors. I noticed down here the faction dominance chart is starting to stack up. We're in the lead. It's not surprising, you know, we're only playing on the second highest difficulty. Obviously, the believers are knocked out. The Morgans are comparatively close to me. They probably knocked out the believers, which is great. Interesting though, that's really going to throw the gameplay out. The believers are usually my blood enemies. I guess I get nice little headlines here showing us who's where. So I'm in the lead technologically. Militarily, it's Chairman Yang of the base Stalinists. Highest population is Colonel Santiago, the base militarists. The wealthy is Chairman Chief Exec Morgan, no surprise. The Space Stalinists have the most territory, which is not surprising. I have the most. I'm pretty good across the board, is what they're telling me, which is good to know.
Turn complete.
We can grab some terrain.
Production complete.
Hey, synth metal garrison would make an excellent garrison unit. Its armor is strong, its weapon is weak. Especially means it can dig in and sustain more damage. He is absolutely going to stay there, whilst my guy, as a scout patrol, is going to head out into the wild. You'll hold there. Push. Immediately attacked by Mindworms, which will kick off Chapter 1 of the game story. Here we go. Interlude from the Book of Planet. Mission year 2131. Walking alone through the corridors of University Base, you skim the security reports on recent attacks by horrific native mindworms. Giant swarms or boils of these mottled 10-centimetre nightmares wriggled out of the fungal beds of late and now threaten to overwhelm base perimeters in several sectors. Victims are paralysed with sign-induced terror and then experience an unimaginably excruciating death as the worms burrow into their brain to implant the ravenous larvae. Only the most disciplined security squads can overcome their fear long enough to trigger the flame guns to keep the worms at bay. Clearly, you will have to tend carefully to the morale of the troops. The guide. Furthermore, since terror and surprise increase human casualties dramatically in these encounters, it will be important to strike first when mindworm boils are detected. In reality, you're actually better off hunkering inside your base and using base defenses to augment. But it's solid advice, possibly for higher difficulties where you're probably better off going off and chasing down mindworm boils. Good at ordering some former detachments to construct sensors. Platforms give you this defense values. Vulnerable bases. Suggesting that I've built more than one base yet. Aid in such detection. There's chapter 1 in the story of the game. That the native life are horrible, kind of xenomorph style, paralyze you with fear, implant bugs in your brain that they're alive. This game is fun. Wow, so a lot happened there. Try and move my... I'm under attack over here now. Brilliant, no problem. So a lot happened there. Security patrol, my scout patrol tries a mindworm boil. They're pretty weak at the moment. It's early game, but as I say, they will scale with me. My security patrol took some damage. If I skip him a turn or two, he will regain his health, which will be necessary because he's going to run into a lot of these mindworm patrols. We'll skip him. We can, thank God, build a base up here. I'll have lost the achievement for building the first base after landfall, but it's worth it to grab some prime terrain up. Baikonur, the existent Russian cosmodrome. Sorry, I should say Russian. It was built by the Soviets. It's actually in Kazakhstan, if I recall. Professor Zakharov founds Baikonur, the first university base since Planet 4. Morgan, and the first base. Yeah. It's worth it, though. It's straight off to find a more strategic location. The AI is not great at finding strategic locations. Like that. Founded a new base. Like to build. Synth metal garrison. Good, and we'll queue up the recyc tanks. Okay.
Turn complete.
Turn is complete, and my governor at home base has already correctly decided that I want formers next time. Even build a base in hand. Okay, so my guy's back up to as much as he can be repaired in the field, so let's keep exploring.
Production complete.
Boom. Fly pods are like villages in previous civilization games. You walk on it, you get something. There's a small chance of something being a horrible surprise of mindworms. Occasionally you get technologies, faction comm leads, money. See what we get.
Nutrient resources.
Nutrient resources. Great, if we build a base near there, we get a farm bonus. In the meantime, we've built formers, engineers, construction units for the game. Farmers can plant forests and farms, build roads, mines, and solar collectors. Energy, game's currency. Later, even raise or tear up mountains. You can actually lift or lower the terrain, as you've noticed. That's a hill there. And because this game is so wonderfully engineered, hills tend to get nice, verdant terrain squares on the kind of northwest side, and more barren on the southeast side, because what actually happens in real world meteorology, which is a rain shadow. The rain falls here and does not fall here because of the crest of the hill. So, yeah, this game is pretty detailed when it comes to the meteorology of all things, can you believe? But yes, what you can do is actually use formers later on in the game to alter terrain yourself, flatten it out, raise it up. But for the moment, we don't have that technology. We can automate the former to automatically start carrying out terraforming tasks. I actually want to do a few tasks just to get us started. And the first one is to drive him over there, build a mine. Mines produce minerals, which allow us to build units and structures and projects fast. Early game, so I will, for the moment, give him some orders, then I'll automate him later on. Spray some of this fungus. Dangerous. Exploring. Okay. So we are fenced in a bit here. Go plough into the fungus. Slows us down, but it's worth it. And it's unavoidable in some places. Meanwhile, at Baikonur, we've built our garrison unit, repaired our scout, so we will do as we did at home. Take the scout out for a walk and garrison the stronger defender. Get looking. Xenofungus is a platform native to plants. You will find it growing wild in many areas of the planet. Best plants cannot grow in squares containing fungus unless you tear the fungus. It also spawns mind worms, slows your units. It's horrible. Up until we get technology that allows us to take advantage of it. Oh, there's another supply pod. Let's see what we've got.
Energy resources.
Good and bad. Pod was infested with native life forms and awful crackling noise, and here they are. My guy might have a tough fight of this. Can I cheat and put him into defense? I can. Lovely. Oh, just made it. I'm tempted to leave him in hold. Took field repairs until I move him again. There's an energy bonus over there, so yeah, later on I'll probably slap a base down nearby. Each base has this kind of area they exploit around it. I border with the Morganites.
Once a man has changed the relationship between himself and his environment, he cannot return to the blissful ignorance he left. Motion of necessity involves a change in perspective. Commissioner Pravin Lal, A Social History of Planet.
Very noble words for what is essentially us researching the car. I mean, seriously, this is the wheel. You know, yeah, the former units run on tracks, and you know, we travel here through space, so presumably we know what wheels and cars are. But they argue that it's had to be redeveloped to work on planet. It's handy. Speed units are very useful for both exploration and early. Again, the game ultimately designed speeders, so I'm not going to worry about changing that. Let's see now. Tempted to go for. I could do with a research boost. Although Centauri empathy allows us to build mind worms of our own, are not only very useful garrison units, but also gives us a point for the big achievement totem. Ooh. Shouldn't really. Normally, I tend to go science first, but we're playing at slightly higher difficulty than I would normally. So let's do it. I also have the opportunity to run away from this mindworm, but he will chase me up the river, which gives you a movement boost. Let's go on the offensive. Move unit to here. Flawless victory. Also, if you attack mindworms yourself, you get money. I got $10 for killing that guy. What I'm going to do is switch on odds. Game will actually look at a combat before you initiate it, tell you if you're likely to win or not. And very tactically helpful. We'll engage that. Pick my guy. Brilliant. Forms can also build roads, which speed movement, allow your units to move faster. Also gives you a slight bonus, I believe, to mineral production, so absolutely we will build a road. Find the other coast. So look at that. We're kicking out 7 minerals at a time. I am inclined to go for the weather paradigm. Secret project next. Gives you a boost to all terraforming actions for 50% from the start of the game. It's a brilliant early door secret project. Economy tends to take care of itself. I'm in the chat. Don't know how to get. I really should probably find out how to do that in case somebody hijacks it and causes chaos with it. I'll work that out for next time. Yeah, the economy takes care of itself in Alpha Centauri. That will be a fun one to have. It gives you an extra super citizen, which balances out unruly citizens. So we'll have a look at that next, but for the moment, I really want to grab. What do I think about another colony expansion? I think as a gamble, I can probably manage it. Grab a project earlier. I don't want somebody else to grab it, you see. Always as he gambles in Alpha Centauri. Who's going to grab what first and prevent you from getting it? Build the crash, we'll build the project, then we'll think.
Project
Proper care and
initiated.
education for our children remains a cornerstone.
Fine, that gives us a quite nice bonus to morale and energy at the base. We're great, and we will get rid of some of this fun. Don't like it being so close to my base because the aliens use it as a road to them. It gives them a movement bonus, and I don't want that running right up to my home base. Clear some of that out the way, and plant a farm. Create nutrients, and the base.
Turn complete. Turn complete.
Where could produce additional nutrients if it had a farm? Please build a farm. What do the Morganites want? I'll share my files on industrial economics. Where's your data on? Yeah.
Our first challenge is to
The Energy Bank,
create
bonus to
infrastructure from top to bottom out of whole cloth.
few
No
more.
gradual evolution from
Commerce.
previous economic systems is possible because there is no previous.
No worries. The human brain on its own. Fine. Gives us a look at his territory. He has 2 bases as well. See what I mean about the border push. I'd throw another base over here somewhere. To plant another one over here in this small bay, I think. A lot of jockeying for territory this early on.
Production
Observe the
complete.
racer beak as it tends so carefully to the fungal blooms.
Chapter 2 of the Game of Planet. According Provost, the young functionary stands stiffly at attention. Following the early years of planet fall, she belongs to a generation which knows Earth only as a distant legend. So, the implication is we've been here long enough for people to be born, grow, and become young adults here on planet. Natalia, a Russian, I have a special assignment for you. Fixing her with an intense stare. These samples must be taken to Dr. Fedorov at Baikonur. It generally grabs the first base you build after your home base. God help you, haven't built another base by this point. We do it personally. You hand her a lead-lined security case. The cryo pack inside contains the stuff of nightmares, mind worms. Viable specimens, captured and preserved at the cost of untold lies. Fedorov's team had studied the recent mindworm upsurge and claims that the worm boils act as a sort of regulator for planet's ecology. Human settlement is disrupting the native ecosystem, and the mindworms are swarming like a kind of ecological antibody. There are hints here of the ultimate culmination of the story. Remember that. Mindworms are swarming like a kind of ecological antibody. Fedorov has also reached an even more ominous conclusion. With modern biolab facilities, mindworms could be bred in captivity and used as horrifying weapons against other human factions. At once, Provost Natalia says, stepping backwards into the accessway. Efficient, competent, and far better disciplined than the youth of the 21st century Earth. Young people you left behind. Natalia has grown up in a world fraught with very real dangers. terrifying dangers once the exclusive province of the same manner of legends and tales. Earth itself is now consigned. Basically, you better start believing in sci-fi stories or you're living in one. Access to ships, research, laser weapons. Go research because I've been putting it off far too long. We'll research planetary networks.
Recovered.
Oh, damn! Nice. Has discovered for me a boat. What I tend to do with boats on the very ocean-heavy planet is go to explore automatically. Off he goes. He can go off and explore the oceans of planet. Happy lonesome self. I will keep exploring manually. So we have a farm. We can build solar collectors, basically generators, energy. Produces energy which runs my labs and makes my currency. Build. Nice. A boost of production at Baikonur, which will allow Baikonur to produce a performance unit. Very helpful. Get Baikonur up and off.
Production complete.
You can, and it's full of native life forms. Rude. Okay. To queue up a colony pod after the children's. Hang in there, brother. Oh, he's hardened. No! Ah. Just enough to defeat him. That alien unit will probably come south and try and attack Baikonur.
Pod recovered. Indigenous life forms.
Oh my god, I completely forgot. Oh no! Oh god, it's all going wrong. I've forgotten about this scout unit. My form has just got destroyed at university. Weather the storm of these. Wow.
I shall not confront planet as an enemy.
That was quick.
But shall accept its mysteries as gifts to be cherished.
Good project.
Nor shall I crudely seek to peel the layers away like the skin from an onion. Instead, I shall gather them together as the tree gathers the breeze. The wind shall blow and I shall bend. The sky shall open and I shall drink my fill. Gaian Acolyte's Prayer.
Increases terraforming speed by 50% for all tasks except to remove fungus. Performers may now build condensers and boreholes. May raise lower terrain even if you have not discovered relevant technology. My first project is here. A permanent long game increase and buff to my terraforming speed. Fantastic. Appropriate, having had my first ever terraformer destroyed. And we get a point for it. Transfer secret project. Yours truly. Oh, and randomly, my boat has just discovered a star from the starship that I drive around as a scout. Isn't that fun? There we have it. And to call it there, that feels like an optimum time to call my first playthrough. Do is we will queue up some mind worms to be built here. And follow that up with a replacement terraformer unit. We will leave my poor abandoned scout unit to repair a second time. I promise not to forget him this time. And then we will return next time for another go. Alpha Centauri. Thanks so much for following me. Again, if you're following me on YouTube, please check me out as well as Mondays from 7. I will try and play very much for your time. And take care.